first episode of the Hambino podcast. I am very happy to be able to actually start doing this and getting into something that I've always liked ever since I was a little kid. It's just something surreal that just popped out of nowhere and just started doing it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Basically, this podcast, we're going to be discussing everything from high school baseball, college baseball, major leagues. We're going to try to get some guests in and basically try to have them explain to us their journey, how they got to where they're at, what happened, if they continued, if they were released, if they're still in the process of making it into the majors, all that good stuff. We're going to be telling childhood anecdotes, stuff that got us to love this game for what it is, and hopefully pass down for generations to come. I mean, we'll just dive in deep into baseball in general. Right now with baseball starting up for the first time as a full season, just very happy that it's actually happening. We're going to go ahead and start with some predictions and discussing baseball's number one rivalry, because this rivalry has basically surpassed Yankees versus Red Sox. And we're talking about the Dodgers versus Padres. What better matchup to start with for this podcast? I mean, you're talking about one of the teams that has spent the most money in the past decade and is just incredible. I mean, they've got in so many players. The one of the major players that I remember that they ever got, and it was a little bit controversial, was Manny Ramirez. And it started with Manny Wood. I mean, ever since then, the Dodgers have been trying to get that World Series championship, and they finally were able to get that championship last year. Yes, it was a smaller season. Yes, the team that they played was not expected to make it to the championship series. But, I mean, they finally got what they've been paying for. In the other hand, you got the Padres. Padres have been struggling ever since 2005. They're not considered an elite baseball team until just recent years. And even then, recent years, I mean, the first time they actually tried making a push for being contenders was back in 2014 when they hosted the All-Star game. But even then, the players that they picked up that year, they didn't last more than 2 years. They noticed that they made a mistake in the players that they got. So, I mean, finally they started rebuilding their farm system, and that's how they were able to make good trades and pick up good players on the way there, and actually opening up their pockets and spending for decent players. I mean, right now you look at it in paper, and obviously if you're a Dodger fan, you can already say Dodgers in 4 against anybody. And I mean, you have every right to do that. They just became World Series champions, and other than the Yankees, they spend a lot of money for their roster. But the only thing I can really think of is diving deep, and the factor that the Dodgers have is their pitching. Because player-wise, they got rid of Hernandez, they got rid of Peterson. Yes, they still have Muncy. Yes, they still have Mookie Betts. But I mean, those players can only do so much. You can't rely on the player to carry the team for the whole season, in my opinion. So, I mean, I think their pitching is going to be the one that it's going to be carrying the whole team. And even then, I mean, yes, they picked up Trevor Bauer in a nice, sweet deal. I believe it was 3 years. But, I mean, other than that, you got Walker Burley coming into his 5th season. Yes, he was the 2018 National League All Rookie team. He was a 2019 All Star, and he has a decent career ERA at 3.19. I mean, he's averaging at 10.6 Ks per 9 innings. I mean, it's not that bad, but yet again, I mean, you're coming into facing the National League West, which is a very dominant league. Um, a lot of a lot of a lot of teams in this league have spent money to try to compete against the Dodgers, and you can clearly see how money's getting spent to actually be doing that. And the rivalry that I had as a childhood was Padres Dodgers, and it's finally coming back to life. And I mean, I think it's great for baseball. I mean, you're seeing two West Coast teams that are battling it out. Um, Basically had one of the best records in baseball last year, and I mean, they pulled it off. They had, I think they had decent series during the regular season, and the Padres just fell short at their playoff run because they didn't have pitching. Their good pitching was injured. But you had Daniel Lemonette that was injured, Mike Clevenger that was injured. I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, Padres basically went into the playoffs with just the bullpen, and they defeated the Cardinals, that are an elite playoff team. So, I mean, I can only see good things coming into the 2021 season. Obviously, you got Clayton Kershaw in your roster for the Dodgers. I mean, you got a nice veteran lefty coming into the 14th season. I mean, he's won the National League Cy Young Award 3 times. 2014, 2013, 2014 as back-to-back years. He finally dominated in the playoffs last year and got his World Series ring, which, I mean, I don't like the Dodgers. I'm not a Dodger fan whatsoever. But, I mean, I got to give the guy respect. The guy's a really good pitcher. He has set the tone for pitching for several years now. And he clearly dominates the regular season. I mean, it happens that a lot of players have struggled in the postseason, and he finally got the result that he wanted. Now you got another lefty that has been very dominant in his 5 seasons playing so far for the Dodgers. Talking about Julio Urias, career 3.2 ERA. He's averaging a 9.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. He clearly helped the Dodgers win the World Series last year at a very decisive game against the Rays. I mean, you can only see good things coming in. They got Dustin May that, I mean, I don't expect them to be in the starting rotation, but you can give them some innings in coming in from the bullpen, or whenever somebody needs some rest, I can see him filling in that spot. But I mean, other than that, I mean, the Dodgers have really decent pitching. Now you got a veteran pitcher also that was comeback player of the year with the Red Sox. He had an injury. He had a wrist injury, and he got that. He had surgery for that in the offseason of 2019. But, I mean, he opted out of 2020. I mean, David Price is a really good pitcher. Yes, he struggled for a bit in Boston, but I don't know if taking the full year and also coming back from that surgery on his wrist, I don't know how he's going to be in tip-top shape for the 2021 season, especially with the National League West being so competitive as it is now. But I mean, the guy has a 3.31 career ERA. He's averaging 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. I mean, it's not bad for the age that he has, and coming into his 14th season. I mean, obviously, for me, he would be more of a back end of the rotation, just because of the experience and the years that he's had in the league. But I don't think he's I honestly don't think he's a top pitcher, and he's coming into the end of his contract, and honestly, I think he's just towards the end of his career. Um, but I mean, on the other hand, the Padres just, I mean, they knew they had decent pitching. Obviously, the Padres have had good players in the past, but the way that friends and family and baseball colleagues and stuff like that have always talked about the Padres when we were younger is they're just a farm system team. They would draft good players, they would trade players, and it just looked like it was more of a business for them than actually winning championships. So just in the past years, I can finally them going for Manny Machado was basically showing their fans that we're gonna try and change that and actually try and become a elite team, a playoff team, and eventually a World Series team. And a lot of people from San Diego are happy to see that. I mean, we really don't have many professional not baseball teams, but professional teams in general. Chargers moved to Los Angeles. I mean, Clippers moved to LA. San Diego, the only major league team that they have are the Padres, and I am glad to see that the owners finally starting to see that they struck a gold mine, that a whole city will support them if they put in the time and the effort to actually bring in a championship to them. And they did that last year. And I'm glad that they're doing it in the offseason. They were the most active team in the offseason. I mean, they picked up Yu Darvish from the Cubs. They picked up Blake Snell from the Rays. What else do we want? I mean, the guys have pitching. They picked up Mike Clevenger last year for a playoff run. Sadly, he got injured. But in an interview not too long ago, he basically stated that his whole concept for baseball has changed. He is a student of the game now, and I am anxious to see how he comes back for the 2021 season. I mean, you got Dinelson LeMay coming into his fourth season, with a career 3.76 ERA, averaging at 12 Ks per 9 innings. Yu Darvish, everybody knows the guy is a great pitcher. Yes, he struggled a bit with the Dodgers on their playoff run, and then was not traded, but he got picked up by the Cubs. He's coming into his 9th season. He was the runner-up for the National League Cy Young Award winning for 2020. So, I mean, the best pitchers in the National League are in the West. You got Trevor Bauer with the Dodgers. You got Yu Darvish with the Padres. I mean, what else could we want in this series? He's averaging 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. You got Blake Snell, that's obviously a great lefty. Coming into his 6th season, he was a Cy Young Award winner also in 2018. Career 3.24 ERA and averages at 10.58 strikeouts per 9 innings. I mean, for me, all around, going by stats, I think the Padres have the better pitching, and it's just this is just going by stats. I mean, obviously, once you're playing the game, it shows a different story. But there's a lot of factors. I mean, you look at the Dodgers on paper, and you think Dodgers are better players just because of their names. They're better, well-known players. But you look at the stats for the Padres pitching, and they basically picked up the latest players that have shown that they can put up good numbers. And I mean, once you start looking into the stats, you can clearly see that the Padres have the better pitching in this series. You got Joe Musgrove. He's coming into his 6th season. He won the World Series with the Astros. Yes, I don't agree that the Astros should have still had that championship for 2017, but he's a champion. Career 4.33 ERA and averages at 9 strikeouts for 9 innings. Chris Paddock, that basically carried the team on his rookie year. I mean, he showed that he can handle it. coming into his third season with a 3.74 ERA, 9 Ks per 9 innings, and obviously we'll see him down the road with Mike Clevenger coming back from that injury. 3.19 ERA, 9.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. Sorry, I honestly think that the Padres may have the better pitching, and they just have. I just feel that they have the better chemistry as a team in general. I mean, he got Manny Machado and Tatis Jr. on the right side of the field. You got Hosmer, which was a World Series champion as well. You got Cronenworth playing second base. You got Myers getting pushed up to the outfield again, which is his natural position. I mean, I can only see great things coming into the series, and honestly, I think Padres have the upper end in the regular season, and they just have to show it. They have to show that they got the attitude to beat the Dodgers, which they did during the regular season, but take that into the playoff season, because playoffs is a different season. It is a different challenge. Obviously, your players are getting strained, pitchers are getting tired. So I know the Padres haven't been in the playoffs in quite some time, and honestly, it was a harsh reality how their 2020 season went. I mean, beating the Cardinals in 3 games with just the bullpen, and then going in to face the dominant Dodgers with no pitching. I mean, they had it rough, but hopefully the pitchers can stay healthy, players can stay healthy, and they can give the Dodgers the run for their money in the 2021 season. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I honestly think that this rivalry is the best for baseball right now. Besides like the Cardinals versus the Cubs or the Brewers, the Yankees versus Red Sox. I mean, we both know that the Yankees have the most dominant team in the East, but having these two powerhouses in the West does give baseball hope that people will go back in and enjoy these games. Obviously, I mean, right now, if you can afford to go back into a baseball game, by all means, go ahead. But I mean, this series right here, Padres Dodgers, is way more expensive than the Yankees Red Sox. It's just outrageous how much it outgrew them. So, I mean, if you have the chance to see these two powerhouses live, by all means, go ahead, because you'll have a show. Now, going into the second part of this podcast, I want to discuss the recent changes that are getting made for the minor league. It is crazy. I mean, Josh Norris wrote this article for the Baseball America, and MLB is trying to not enhance the game, but they want to still speed up the process. I mean, I can sit in the game for 3 hours, even though it could be a 0-0 score or 10-1 score. I can sit through it and enjoy the game. That's just me. That's just the way that I got brought up with. I mean, if you're trying to see back and forth, this is not your sport. Clearly, it's America's pastime. This is the way that it was first played with. Yes, it's got its fixes, but there shouldn't be that many fixes in just a short amount of time to catch people's eye. That shouldn't be it. I mean, this is a totally different kind of sport, and it's a more mental game than a physical game. Obviously, we've got several changes coming into the 21 season. It's going to start in the minor leagues, but they're going to analyze the changes that go on and try to see if they can put them into Major League Baseball. I mean, first of all, one of their main changes that I see is that they're trying to go from 15 by 15 inches on the bases to 18 by 18. 3 inches, making the bag bigger. They expect that 3 inches is gonna. They expect players to have more stolen bases with those 3 inches. So they want there to be more excitement in the game. And I mean, I get it. People are excited to see home runs, are excited to see people stealing bases, but you're giving the runner an advantage. I mean, if you're fast, go ahead and steal. If you're slow, don't steal. Easy as that. If you can make it, go ahead. But I don't think they should be changing the bases to favor yourself and just to catch a glimpse of a little bit more stolen bases. I mean, stealing a base should be a strategy, not a show. I mean, obviously, when spring training, you can do what you want. I mean, Tim Brookie just tried going toe to toe against Yadi Molina, knowing that the guy's the best catcher in baseball. Still, this many seasons in, he just gunned them out by a mile. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's outrageous that they do these changes. I mean, one of the changes that I do agree with that has to happen is this one's gonna be enforced in Double A. Is that they're gonna limit the shift and the ways teams can be positioning their players. So, you know how sometimes they put 5 players in the outfield, and they have 1 player on the right side of the field. That's gonna change. They want to have 4 players in the infield on the dirt area instead of having them in the grass area. So what that does is that you can have those 4 players on one side, but they can't be in the outfield part of the field. That helps a lot, and that limits the amount of things that the team can do for shifts. I mean, it would eliminate the extreme shifts that we've seen and making batters and more success, making batters more successful in balls on play. So I mean, hopefully that one does help out and it comes into effort, because I think the extreme shifts is just outrageous. It's just a big disadvantage to the batter. And I mean, if you're a good bunter, I mean, I want to say Manny Ramirez did that. He just went ahead and dropped the bunt on the right side of the field. Why? Because there was only 1 player, and he was on shortstop. Easy hit, but you can't be doing that all the time. I mean, yes, it's smart, it's strategic, but it shouldn't be the way that we play baseball. And then another thing is, one of the rules that's getting changed also, and implied, I'm sorry, is in the high A teams, pitchers will be required to disengage the rubber completely before throwing to any base. With this rule in play, the Atlantic League saw a significant uptick in stolen bases. Well, yeah, because you're taking time from the pitcher to actually step off completely from the mound to throw a guy out. I mean, that throwing a guy out should be a surprise. It shouldn't be a task, or it shouldn't be a whole situation. It should be a surprise thing. I mean, what's the whole point of doing pickoffs then? I'd rather just do a pitch out and see what happens. It's just dumb rules that they're trying to make. I mean, I can go with the shift one, changing the shifts, eliminating those extreme shifts, but stepping off completely from the rubber to throw to first base or to throw to third base, come on. It's just outrageous. And then, I mean, they're also doing the amount of pickoffs that you can do. And this rule is getting applied in the low A teams. Is basically you only have 2. You're limited to 2 step offs or pickoff attempts per plate appearance. If a pitcher tries a 3rd pickoff in the plate appearance, the move will be considered a balk unless the runner is successfully picked off. MLB is actually considering reducing the number of pickoffs or step offs per plate appearance to just one. I mean, it's I just can't understand this. It is outrageous. It's basically like you're gonna go ahead and pitch to that batter if you like it or not, and you only get one opportunity to take off that player from first or from second. This shouldn't be the way. I mean, I can see what happened with Colton Wong. He got picked off 3 times, and on the 4th time, he actually got caught. But it shouldn't. There shouldn't be that many changes. I mean, I know you want to speed up the game, even though you did all these changes back when Manfred became commissioner. Did it actually help? Did the game actually become shorter? No, it was still 3 hours long, even with the timers and everything. So, I mean, I think just leaving the game as it is the best thing you can do. Obviously, it sucks that games start at 7 o'clock and they last 4 hours. But going into a baseball game, you are expecting that. You're expecting that a game can be 2 hours long, 3 hours long, 4 hours long. Hell, I was in a game that was 7 hours long. Or if you guys remember a couple years back, the Diamondbacks versus Padres that lasted 22 innings. I mean, the guys finished the game like 4 in the morning, and then had to wake up a couple hours later to play a second game. I mean, that's what I like about baseball. It can keep on going. It's not like spring training that you call it at 7 inning and be like, you know what? We can just leave it as a tie. It's all right. These games don't count. We don't give a crap. It doesn't go like that. I mean, it's basically like the saying, like the game's not over until the fat lady sings, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of baseball. All these changes were they're trying to make a good, but I just think it's just adding more problems to baseball in general. I mean, keeping it as simple as possible is the best thing you can do. Less is more. Raul Ibanez, the MLB senior vice president of on-field operations, said in a video, these experimental rules are designed to put more balls in play, create more excitement on the base paths, and increase the impact of speed and athleticism on the field. As another important goal of the rules approved by competition committee and the Playing Rules Committee, we expect the new larger bases to increase player safety. We look forward to testing these rules in the minor leagues. I mean, a lot of these rules were already tried out in the Atlantic League and they saw success in them, but it's just a different league. You're talking about the Atlantic League getting compared to Major League Baseball, which is a way bigger league. So, I mean, hopefully some of these rules come into play and help out baseball, and I hope some of them they just put off, like the one that they tried pushing back the mound that the pitchers are going to be pitching in. I mean, I honestly think they stopped doing that because the pitcher said that they were going to just quit the league if they end up doing that. So hopefully they just decided to keep it simple and just do minor changes and not change the whole thing. So we'll see what happens. Next episode, we'll be talking about the Rockies. We're going to be talking about the Diamondbacks, and we're going to be talking about the Giants, the sleeping Giants. So stay tuned. Make sure you follow the account, Twitter at the _Hambino, Instagram, the Hambino podcast, and just stay updated. Follow the YouTube page at the Hambino podcast, and just subscribe and follow, like, leave a comment, and hopefully you guys enjoy this podcast. Have a good day, guys.